Hey, this is Chris Wells, the Bass Chaplain. I've been asked by a number of people to do a little short video on some helpful hints to do wildlife banquets or sportsman banquets. Now, let me tell you, in 2004, I started a full-time speaking ministry, and since that time, I have spoken to over 1,000 wild game banquets or sportsman's banquets, literally all over the country. Now, with that said, that does not mean, or nor do I want to let you know that I think I'm the expert on game banquets. There are no hard and fast rules here. Everything that I'm going to tell you today, I can always find an exception to it. So I'm not saying that I'm the authority, but I've seen a lot of things in some different formulas that different churches do. And I've seen formulas that work, and I've seen formulas that don't work. And I want to give you some helpful hints on some things I've seen that works. Now, let me tell you this, okay? When we're going through this, I'm going to break this up into video segments. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is because men have very short attention spans, and so a lot of times if I put up a big long video, nobody will watch that video at all. And so you can watch this in different sections, or you can go to my YouTube page, which is the Bass Chaplain YouTube page, and you can watch the video in its entirety, and you can have that for your men's group, or if you're proposing to your church a wild game banquet, you can just let them know some helpful hints. So here we go. Number one on some helpful hints about how to do a successful wild game or sportsman's banquet. Number one, you need to decide what kind of banquet you're going to have. I mean, what is your target audience? Are you doing this banquet to reach out to people who don't know Jesus? Or are you doing this banquet just for your church guys? Now, let me say this. There's nothing wrong with doing a wild game banquet or a sportsman's banquet for just the men in your church. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to do that, you're going to prepare a little differently than you are if you're going to do an evangelical event where you're trying to reach people for Christ at a different kind of banquet. You're targeting two different kinds of audiences. For our purposes today, I'm going to be talking about how to reach people for Christ with your wild game banquet. So you need to decide, are we doing this for our church, or are we doing this to reach out for people? Because they're going to be done differently, okay? The second thing I want to tell you, and one of the most important things, is choose a proper venue for your game banquet. And this is going to get kind of a little hairy because a lot of times people, get angry about me saying this, but I would suggest that if you're going to do a wild game banquet or a sportsman's banquet, you try not to have that game banquet at your church. Now, why is that? Because people who don't know Jesus are skeptical about things from the church. They just are. If they were going to be at your church, they probably already would be there. So try to have a venue, like have it at a high school gym, maybe find a barn, find a cow shed, find a big warehouse, somewhere where a guy who is lost is not going to be intimidated just by walking through the door. It'll help you get more of those kind of guys that you're trying to target. They'll feel better, and you'll be a lot more successful if you choose the right venue. Number three, create a great atmosphere. I got to tell you, I love to go to the Bass Pro Shop. I love to go to Charlotte, North Carolina, and go in their Bass Pro Shop. It is my very favorite Bass Pro Shop to go into. Right when I walk into the doors, I begin to decompress right when I walk in, because I look at the mounts and I look at all the exhibits, I look at all those big fish and all those big deer, and I'm thinking, this is man world right here. Let me tell you, my friend Jason Cruz, who has a doctorate in how to reach men through hunting and fishing, said this, that most of our churches today look like funeral parlors and flower shops when they really ought to look like the Bass Pro Shop. Create a great atmosphere for your event. And this is how you do that. You can get your whole community involved. It's a great way to do this. Find guys who are taxidermists in your area. Invite them to come and bring mounts. Invite the DNR to come to set up exhibits. Invite people who have knife collections, gun collections, arrowhead collections, all kind of things. Invite bass clubs to come and be a part of that, and create a great atmosphere so that when a guy who doesn't know Jesus comes in, he doesn't just come into a little whitewashed church where nothing is, it looks like it's just the most boring place in the world to come to. He comes to a place that says, man, this is a really cool atmosphere, okay? Number four, try to avoid Friday or Saturday nights. Now, let me tell you, I've been to a lot of great wild game banquets that were done on Saturday nights. But let me tell you, if you're targeting people who don't know Jesus, people who are lost hunt and fish, they hunt and fish on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the most valuable commodity they have is their time. That's what we're asking them to give us. And so if you ask them to give up a Friday or Saturday, most guys who hunt and fish are going to be like, I'm going to be hunting and fishing on Friday and Saturday. I'm not going to do that. The best night for wild game banquets is to have it on a Thursday night. And that way, a guy is at work and he's thinking, man, I want to be talking about hunting or fishing, I want to be doing something, and it breaks up his week. And he doesn't have to give up his weekend. So choose a great day. It doesn't mean that it can't work on Friday or Saturday, but Thursday nights is going to be your best night. Number 5, secure a speaker that relates to your target audience. That's important. If you're going to have a big wild game banquet, you probably don't want to have the superstar golf guy. If you're doing a golf banquet, you don't want to have the superstar fishing guy that's there. You want to have a speaker that can relate to your target audience. And here's one of my big pet peeves. I honestly believe this is important. There are a lot of people that give good stories. There are a lot of people that give good testimonies. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I believe that true faith comes from the exposition of the Word of God. And so I try to make my talks when I'm there, and I try to look for a speaker when I'm planning a wild game banquet, someone who's not only inspirational and evangelical, but they're also expositional. They tell me what the Word of God says, not just their opinion or their story. They, in addition to their stories, they talk about the Word of God. That's important. So secure a speaker that relates to your target audience. Number 6, this is a big one. Start on time and finish on time. Nothing will kill your game banquet or your sportsman's banquet faster than for you to say, we're going to end at 8 o'clock and you get out at 10 o'clock. That will absolutely destroy the future of your wild game banquet. Start on time, finish on time, and if you can, finish a little bit early. That's a very, very important deal. Number 7, this goes along with time management in your game banquet. But this is no biblical laying down the law of 10 commandments deal, but here's what I've seen. Never let people, especially men, serve themselves in a food line. That is so important. I can't tell you how many game banquets I've been a part of where it absolutely, the atmosphere and the night was ruined because it took 2 hours to serve everybody. You need to get people in, hand people a plate. Hand them, have wild game appetizers if you want to, but have a good meal there and just say, here, go, here, go. That will help your time go a lot better, and it'll help you hit the target time when you say you're going to finish on time, and that'll help your game banquet in the future. Okay. Number 8, have response cards for after your invitation time, but also use those response cards for your door prizes. This is so critically important. And this is what I have my speakers, this is what I do when I'm speaking, and this is what I have my speakers do in a game banquet. After they get through speaking and they extend an invitation, and they get everybody to bow their heads and close their eyes, after that invitation is given, they say, hey, look up here. Right now, somebody is going to be handing you a card. And that card is important for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's your door prize card. Everybody here wants to win a door, right? And number 2, on the bottom it says, tonight I pray to receive Jesus, or I want more information about the Christian life, or whatever it is that you're inviting them to do. Have that written on the bottom of that card and hand them that card right then. Do not, and I say do not give them the card ahead of time. If you give them the card ahead of time, they will fill that card out and they'll never look at it again. Have you a team of men together and hand them that card right then. And then have your speaker lead them and say, okay, we're all going to take a few minutes right now. And we're going to take time and we're going to fill out that card. And then have them fold that card in half and then take it up and use that card for your door prize card. And that will help you in the final step that I'm going to talk about in just a little bit right now. Number 9, when you're doing your door prizes, go for quality over quantity. That is so critically important. I can't tell you how many game banquets I've been to where an hour after the speaker was done, they were still handing out door prizes, and everybody in the room was sitting there just rolling their eyes because they're getting a trucker hat or they're getting some kind of little Barbie doll rod and reel combination. There's nothing wrong with a Barbie doll rod and reel combination, but it's just not something that every man wants in a wild game banquet. Go for quality. Go for guns, go for 4-wheelers, go for coolers, go for things that guys want, and go for less of those things and not more, and it'll be a lot more exciting. Draw out those cards and it'll be a lot more quality. Number 10, and this is the most important one of all, follow up is critical. Have a plan to follow up after your sportsman's banquet. A lot of churches today believe that having a wild game banquet is a men's ministry, and it is not. Let me say that again. Just because you have a wild game banquet does not mean you have a men's ministry. A men's ministry takes those men that make decisions and disciples them. shows them. You have Sunday school classes. And I would suggest this, if you have Sunday school classes or small group classes, whatever you want to call it, group those men by interest and not age. Fishing and hunting, if I've seen anything that it ever does, it bridges the gap between ages. I've seen 70-year-old guys be best friends with 24-year-old guys. Why? Because they love to fish together or they love to hunt together, and we need to adopt that in the church today. Group those men by interest and have a plan. Have a plan where you sit down and you say, hey, you prayed to receive Christ. This is what happens next. And this is what we're going to have a class that we're going to invite you to, and we're going to show you how to live the Christian life. Those are 10 simple things that if you'll do those things, your wild game banquet or sportsman banquet will go a lot better. If you want more information, you can check out my blog, which will be listed later, or you can give me a call, and my phone number will be down there. I hope to see you later. This is the Bass Chaplain, out.